you guys? How are you all? Thank you guys for being here. I am so sorry I'm late, but we're still going to get, to see everything we wanted to see. And then we'll go over to Melissa's and hang out. I'm really looking forward to that. And then I have a late night thing premiering, an interview I did with a friend of mine who is a creator. I have a series on my channel interviewing different true crime creators, so keep an eye out for that. But hello, how are you guys? I hope you guys have had a good day. Missed you. Like 30 minutes of torture. I've missed you too. No, I saw a couple of you guys had a headache. I hope you're feeling better. Well, are you ready to watch the freaking closing arguments? And I looked ahead where the defense actually gives one. Then we're going to look at what Erik from Deadliest Catch, if you remember yesterday, we heard in the interview, Wade mentioning him and talking about how that's how he met Josh, the guy that works at Mateo's Graphics. So we're going to listen to that. But before we get started, I do want to go into our little segment at the beginning. Now, today's a doozy. One of these comments is funny. So this segment is the comment section, where I just like to choose a couple comments from you guys for us to look at and kind of start the discussion with. I truly think talking to you guys is the coolest part about having a YouTube channel, like the back and forth, the conversation, the discourse. I love it. So I love this little segment. So let me pull up the first one from a fellow Alexandra. Alexandra Blair says, "Hi from Scotland. This monster should not have been allowed to see these photos. He's totally getting off on them. You see the excitement on his face and also the heavy breathing. He's a total monster. No remorse whatsoever. God bless those two beautiful women." And I agree. I love this one. I chose it because it was, from Scotland. I think it's really cool to know that we're all in different parts of the world and kind of joining in on these discussions together. I love that. Okay, wrong way. The next one is from Grace. Grace says, "I'd listened to the confession before, but it never ceases to turn my stomach. The fact that he wanted to look at Diane in the state he knew she was in while eating a burger like a regular guy watching the game or something, he's a full psychopath in my opinion." And I know I'm still like shook over that police interview from yesterday. I just cannot get over his tone and where he's like, and he starts to get mad. "I want to see what I did." Like, whoa. I mean, I feel like we got a glimpse of his true self in those moments. And then the last one. Well, I'll read two of these. "Every time I rewatch trial coverage, I'm again sickened and reminded at the satanic depravity of this waste of life. Meow, meow. I agree. Cute picture, by the way. And yeah, I agree. He's truly, I think that he's truly evil." And then Money Car, who says, "Why keep bringing this up? He killed and was convicted. Let it go. He is evil." And I just have a couple things to say to Monica R. or Money Car or whatever. First of all, if you don't want to hear about stuff like this, I would not click on videos that this is the subject of. It's really clear. You can see here the title of the video. She left this on the body cam video. Wade Wilson, shirtless body cam. Where does it fit in the timeline? So if you're not interested in that, I wouldn't click on the video. Just pro tip for you. But second thing is, I don't think you understand, and I know you guys in the chat do, most of you, I just want people to understand that there is more to these cases than just up to the conviction. After someone is convicted, then you are able to get all kinds of different stuff, case files, videos, interrogations, just things that you weren't able to see before. So you almost have to wait until after the conviction to do real research and to dig really deep, which that's my favorite part of like following true crime. The open cases can be really stressful, but when a case is closed and we can get all the facts from A to Z, or a trial, here's the thing, the trial where all the facts are laid out for you. I've been watching people like Melissa, her FOIA requests and stuff, her videos about it. And I was interested. I had never watched the trial. So I wanted to educate myself. And some of you guys had seen it. Some hadn't. Some had seen parts. But there are many reasons to follow and keep up with stuff after the conviction. That is not the end of it. That's honestly just a beginning to being able to find out the facts. All of the bullshit leading up to that, a lot of it is just, like I said, bullshit. Think about the open cases right now of missing kids that spin out of control on social media. Most of the information out there is probably not even real. It's probably BS. And we talked a lot about this in the interview that'll be dropping tonight, So please, I want you guys to check that out if you're interested. But people don't understand, I don't know. This is just when you get the facts of a case, the best time to research it. Anyways, with all that being said, let me check on you guys in the comments, and then we're going to go listen to the closing arguments, which I'm excited. We don't do rumors. We do facts and keep receipts. Absolutely. I got lost on this one after the fact with all the women. Yeah. A lot of people were kind of wanting to catch up, and I don't know, looking for more information. It could help someone to learn. Oh, Melissa, thank you. You're sweet. Very sweet. And cute, adorable. Hey, Molly Henry. So anyways, Deb, I hope you feel better. Not feeling well, so I probably won't be commenting, just listening. I just wanted to address those couple things, and I hope people understand that when you're really after the real information in a case, you're just not going to get that until besides the trial and then afterwards with all the requests. Everything up to that is rumors besides what police willingly put out, which oftentimes isn't a lot because they want to save their case, for trial to get a conviction. And speaking of that, you guys, closing arguments. So are you ready? I know I'm ready. I'm anxious. Yesterday when we got off of here, oh my gosh, I don't know if it was adrenaline or what. It's so upsetting hearing him, the way he was talking, and I don't know. I can't explain the way I felt afterwards. It was just a release of tension in a way, but I was ready to continue and keep watching. So, okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, both the state and the defendant have now rested their case. The attorneys now will present their final arguments. Please remember that what the attorneys say is not evidence or your instruction on the law. However, do listen closely to their arguments. They are intended to aid you in understanding the case. Each side will have equal time, but the state is entitled to divide this time between an opening argument and a rebuttal argument after the defense has given its closing argument. Is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Here we go.
Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And those of you guys who were in Melissa's yesterday, remember she was pointing out people in the background of, I think it was the death penalty, the penalty phase. But if anybody notices anyone in the background, let us know. Okay, sorry.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This case was about killing for the sake of killing. He told detectives, I've already done it once. I'll do it again. But it's not about that he killed. It's about how he killed. Blunt force trauma gained compliance for submission. Strangulation for silence. According to him, it only takes 2 minutes. He doesn't get scratched. He doesn't get hurt. They don't yell. They're quiet. They can't get away even if they wanted to. He's too strong. Those are the people he goes after. on the 7th of October of 2019, he went after Christine Melton, he went after Melissa Montanez, and he went after Diane Ruiz. Only one survived that day. Only one. Why? Because there was too many people around. But if you remember what he said, he would have killed her too if given a chance. Now, what I expect the court to do is give you a series of instructions. What we need to prove to you that he did everything that we've charged him with. We've charged Mr. Wilson with first-degree premeditated murder.
I hope we can see whatever they're presenting
We
here.
need to prove that Christine Melton is dead. There should be absolutely no doubt in your mind that Miss Christine Melton is dead. You heard from the medical examiner. You heard from Miss Christine Johnson. You even heard from Mr. Wilson himself. Christine Melton is no longer with us. Second thing we need to show is that the death was caused by the criminal act of Mr. Wilson. There should be absolutely no doubt in your mind.
One sec.
Mr. Wilson did these things. All the evidence corroborates what Mr. Wilson has told you in the course of the past day or two. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, there was a premeditated killing of Miss Christine Melton. And what's interesting about the premeditation instruction, it says killing with premeditation is killing after consciously deciding to do so. The decision must be present in the mind at the time.
I mean, sitting there with the damn swastika on his face. I mean, just, I wonder what he was thinking in these moments. Do you guys think that he thought he would get the death penalty?
Time of the killing, and the
Really,
law does not fix the exact period of time.
You guys brought it up yesterday, and Candace, I think you sent it to me. He actually, the night before, was it the night before this or the night before they go into, during the trial, before he was found guilty? You guys tell me exactly when, because I don't remember, but I know it was during the trial before he was found guilty, because he said, I'm going to be found guilty tomorrow or something like that. Let me find it while we're listening, because I wonder what he's thinking, but we know that a little bit of what he thought.
Time that must pass between the formation of the premeditated intent to kill and the killing. The period of time must be long enough to allow reflection by the defendant, and the premeditated intent to kill must be formed before the killing. So, that's a lot of words. Let me make it simple for you. When one is sitting outside in the evening time, and it's humid out, and a mosquito lands on your arm, you look down, you decide to kill that mosquito. That's premeditation, ladies and gentlemen, because the law does not fix a period of time. You can go from that short period of time to as long as you want, planning, whatever you want. But when we're talking about premeditation as it relates to Ms. Melton, ladies and gentlemen, it's also going to apply to Mr. Ruiz. Strangulation is the epitome of life slipping through someone's hands. Premeditation starts by placing the hands on the throat of another. the application of pressure, squeezing the throat, not releasing until there is not one final breath that remains in that person. And what's interesting about that particular act, ladies and gentlemen, is that both people know that one person is going to die.
Wow. He's surely got a lot of passion. So it was you, Candace, who sent this, and thank you. I wasn't sure because sometimes people will. Candace has sent me so much stuff, which I appreciate so much, and occasionally, other people will send stuff, but I thought it was you, and it was. Here we have tomorrow. Thank you for being there again today. I love you, and I do not want for you to be there tomorrow. I'm going to be found guilty. You don't need to be there as any part of that. June 11th to Alexis. And then we have here. Thank you for being there again today. I love you. And I do not want for you to be there tomorrow. I'm going to be found guilty. You don't need to be a part of any of that. So interesting. Oh, I wasn't even showing y'all. Here we go. Sorry. Here's what Alexis showed. And then the version that came out from Zav when she got the email. So now we know, somewhat what he was thinking by that. But yeah, it's very interesting.
So when Minister Wilson decided to go ahead and inflict blunt force trauma upon Miss Melton, you heard about it. The broken nails, right? She was a fighter. She knew what was happening.
My God.
We also know what? The lungs, the colon, the bladder. What else? The liver. You heard about the brain swelling from Dr. Coyne. She was alive when all that happened. Couldn't happen after she was strangled. And then what do we also know?
So that makes me wonder. He said that the doctor actually said that she died right after, I guess, so the brain didn't have time to swell. Or no, the brain did have time to swell, but if she would have, what did he say? There was brain swelling, but if it was from a certain kind of event, it would have been different. Regardless, I wonder exactly what order, because just because of what he said to his dad, and he's not, we know that he's not been 100% honest when he's confessed. So it's hard for me to make sense of what order her injuries took place in, if that makes sense. Yeah.
We also have the compression of the neck, 2 marks, the deep hemorrhages that Dr. Hernandez talked to you about. Coyne and Dr. Hernandez told you that was all consistent with asphyxiation.
What did he say was the other thing that could cause brain swelling? And he knows that wasn't it because I don't remember. That's what I was thinking of when I said that. If he would have let go during the strangulation, that it would have caused swelling. But okay, thank you, Kelly. But instead, the swelling was from blunt force trauma. Okay. He was saying, there's my nurse, Kristen. I'm a resident nurse. He was saying that the lack of oxygen can cause the brain to swell. But this was actually caused from the beating she sustained before. Thank you. Yes. So then that means what he told his dad wasn't true, that he strangled her in her sleep. Because isn't that what he said? Okay, let's keep listening.
It's another term for strangling someone, ladies and gentlemen. That is premeditation. That, ladies and gentlemen, is first-degree murder. Well, what do we know happened next? Well, we have to prove grand theft of a motor vehicle, right? Grand theft of a motor vehicle is Mr. Wilson knowingly and unlawfully obtained or used endeavor to obtain or use a motor vehicle, Christine Melton. You saw that black Nissan Versa. You know it belongs to Miss Christine Melton. Her registration's in there. Her tags are in there. Her phone is in there. Stephanie Johnson identified it as her car. When did he use it? After he killed her. So, yeah, he unlawfully obtained or used her car. That element's been met. 2, he did so with the intent to temporarily or permanently deprive Miss Melton of her right to the property or any benefit to it or from it and appropriate that property of Christine Melton to his own use or the use of another person entitled to it. Yep. Did that too. And 3rd, the stolen property was a motor vehicle. And you saw it on Mr. Lukic's video. Rolled up in it. It's clearly a motor vehicle, ladies and gentlemen. I submit to you that charge has been proven as well. But where does he go to from there? Well, after he's gone ahead and killed Miss Melton and taken her car.
Wait a minute. Now this is a great time for us to really take in the timeline again, because he's describing it and, you know.
And held her face up to utilize her phone.
Cool.
He makes a whole series of telephone calls, right? To Miss Montanez. Hey, I need to see you. Where are you at? Calling her repeatedly. Miss Lavogian told her, don't bring him here. Tell him you'll meet him at your spa. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we showed you the phone records. The 630-962-1256. Miss Melton's phone number. We also have Miss Montanez's phone number at 239-333-2.
So I want to take a second just to read your comment, Nurse Kristen. He definitely beat her first, or else we would not have seen the level of bruising that we did. Once you die, the heart is no longer pumping, so you don't see the bruising and tissue. So does that mean that he lied to his dad? I'm trying to remember what he said to police. He is just absolutely evil. And the Wade wives are okay with this and think it's acceptable to be around their children? Disgusting. Think it's acceptable to allow your child to talk to him, to bring your child to anything that has to do with him? Unbelievable. I don't think they listened. There's no way they could have.
Or 5924. And also what comes up later is this 239-200-8319 number. The reason why these phone numbers are important, ladies and gentlemen, is because when you look at the phone records of Miss Montanez, okay, on page 1 of 6,
Maybe they're psycho too. I don't know. I just can't make sense of it. But I think the defense did the best they could with what they had. I am sure Wade wasn't cooperating with his own defense.
200 numbers. You're going to see the 333-5924. You're going to see 333-5924. You're going to see Ms. Ruiz's phone number in Ms. Montanez's phone records. There is no reason why Ms. Melton, let alone Ms. Ruiz's phone, should be in Miss Montanez's phone records. The only reason why we showed you that was to corroborate what was happening that morning. He was utilizing Miss Melton's phone to contact Miss Montanez. And not only that, ladies and gentlemen, is when he couldn't use Miss Melton's phone any longer, he got a hold of Miss Ruiz's phone. That's when her number starts popping up on Miss Montanez's phone.
Well, what I mean, I don't understand his what the hell he was doing at that time. So not only, did he take these women's lives, he claims that he slept with both of them consensually. I don't believe that, but let's just go by what he claims. And then he uses their phone to call his woman? Like what?
It corroborates what Miss Montanez was telling you. He is calling and he is repeatedly trying to get a hold of her.
Oh yeah, J. Rose. I agree. It seems he is reliving it in his head.
But what's interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is after he gets a hold of her, he just doesn't want to find out where she is or what she's doing. But what does he do?
Can you believe we're going to hear from the defense today? I was kind of shocked.
Tries to pull her into Miss Melton's car. He almost runs her over by getting out, attacking her, trying to pull her clothes off of her, beats her repeatedly. She's chased up the stairs. He held her up against a wall with her throat. He punches her in the face until blood spatters all over the place. You saw the photograph of Miss Montanez. You heard the testimony of Miss Montanez. You heard the testimony of Miss Slobodian. You heard.
It's interesting to watch his face during this because remember, he claims he wouldn't take her life. He would never do that to Mila. That's what we heard yesterday.
Heard the testimony of Miss Williamson. You also heard the testimony of Miss Griffin. There should be absolutely no doubt in your mind that he committed an attack or a battery upon Miss Montanez. And the only thing I need to show for battery is that he actually intentionally touched or struck Melissa Montanez against her will. There is no way that she consented to that. Absolutely, it was against her will. What was she doing? She was screaming. He was threatening. Fortunately for Miss Montanez, she survived. But if given the chance, she had been dead. But there's too many people. At least that's what he told us. That brings us to his next victim, right? After he gets done with Miss Montanez, he takes off in that vehicle. Too many people. He heads to Cape Coral. He comes across a young lady who's on her way to work, dressed in a light blue shirt, jeans.
Before the body cam. That just irons it in for me.
Lures her to the car by feigning to ask for directions. Somehow manages to get her inside the car. He breaks her nose. He breaks her thyroid and neck cartilage. He also runs her over repeatedly. Why? Because after he had choked her, he claims that she somehow was still alive because she also was a fighter, ladies and gentlemen. She had multiple rib fractures. Dr. Coyne told you there was no way left unattended that she would have been able to survive. And he ensured that that was going to happen, that she did not survive. Why? Because he's the one who placed her on that empty lot, under those shrubs, under that tree, to make sure that no one would find her. Luckily, when law enforcement was looking up in the sky and just happened to be in the area and they saw that single vulture that was circling, that's what led them to finding Miss Ruiz. And how was she identified, ladies and gentlemen? Geez. She was decomposed after only a couple days of being out there. Insect activity, animal activity, weather. Her husband had to her fiance had to identify the ring. They identified her after only a couple days.
Who's in the polka dots?
Being out there. Insect activity, animal activity, weather.
And he wanted to see it. He wanted to be taken.
Her husband had to fiance had to identify the ring. They identified her by the tattoo on the back. Diana Ruiz is dead. Death was caused by Mr. Wade Wilson. And there was a premeditated killing of Diana Ruiz. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, strangulation, placing the hands around someone's neck, and watching that life slip through the hands and the other person seeing their life leave them. Premeditation. Should be absolutely no doubt in your mind that this was first degree premeditated murder.
Agree.
He even told you in his statement.
See, Patricia says he isn't even listening. He's so self-absorbed, he's just telling himself right now what a babe magnet he is. The best babe magnet ever to be incarcerated, which I could see that. I believe he is telling himself that. But also, doesn't he look so pale? Like to me, he looks like, and maybe that's part of being locked up for so long. I'm sure it is, but he just looks like, I don't know. Like he knows he's done for.
She wanted to be dropped off. If you listen real closely to that statement, he also said he knew he wasn't going to drop her off. He was going to kill her. He already had it in his head. Why? Because he already killed once before. He was going to do it again. And true to his word, he did. So, ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you, we've established first-degree premeditated murder, Diana Ruiz. Where does he go from there? He goes to Joe's Crab Shack, right? Because Officer McCormick received information regarding the battery of Miss Montanez. He's confronted there. He plays dumb. He doesn't know anything about a battery. What does he do? He leaves. He's not sticking around for that. Nope. Where does he go? He goes to Mateo Graphics. One of the other people he knows, Lukic. Hey, can you help me out? I need a plane ticket. I need a taxi. I need to get out of town. Why? Because I just killed people. I just killed some people. He was frantic. He only had a pair of pants on. Blood on him. No shirt. No shoes. Law enforcement gets there. What does he do? He doesn't stick around. He leaves.
If there are any wives there, I hope and pray they were listening, but you know they weren't. You know they
Where's
weren't.
he go? He goes to the Amlin residence, right?
And just to be clear, Tess thought that was Breezy at first. She's saying that she thinks it's Gabriella. I don't know. You guys know them a lot better than me. I think that we could try to find out for sure. And but yeah.
Fortunately for Miss Amlin, Jade left with her husband back to Columbus, Ohio. And he's decided that he needs to do something, right? What does he do? He enters the structure owned or by or in the possession of Fanny Hamlin. We know that. How do we know? You saw the broken window, you saw the screen removed, right? He gets in, he gains entry. At the time of the entering structure, he had the intent to commit a theft in that structure. Of course he did. He helped himself to some food, he helped himself to some drink, there was different clothes that were laid out. He needed to figure out what he's going to do. What does he do? Contacts his dad. Hey, can you help me out? I need to get out of here. You send me an Uber. I need your help. Dad's conflicted.
There are so many wives. I just never realized
Dad,
how
fortunately
many.
enough, does the right thing. He contacts law enforcement. He contacts Mr. Wilson and encourages him to give the address and location of where he is. But while Mr. Wilson is in there, like I said, he commits petty theft because he knowingly and lawfully obtained or used or endeavored to obtain or use the property of Fanny Hamlin. You saw the White Claw, seltzers. You saw the various food that was laying there. You saw the clothing that was laid out. You saw the backpack. He did so with the intent or injury affirmably to deprive Fanny Hamlin of her right to property or any benefit from it, or appropriate the property of Fanny Hamlin to his own use or the use of any other person not entitled to it. He didn't have permission to be in there. He didn't have permission to utilize any of the items that were in there, and he didn't have any permission to do anything inside that residence, let alone endeavor to use it, obtain it, deprive Ms. Hamlin of it. Nothing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we submit to you, we've established burglary. We've also established petty theft. Now, ladies and gentlemen, over the past 2 days, you've seen and heard a lot. Okay? What we're asking you to do is to take all of that and put it together. We submit to you that you should only come up with one conclusion and one verdict in this particular case. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this case was never about Mr. Wade Wilson. It's about what Wade Wilson did to Christine Melton and Diana Ruiz.
Absolutely.
And make no mistake about it, despite his bragging,
And they do get lost in all the chaos surrounding him a little bit, and that is sad,
his boasting, and the excitement he wants to feel, this case was nothing more than a graphic, vulgar display of power. And we're going to ask that you find Mr. Wilson guilty of first-degree premeditated murder for killing
Thank you,
and
Amy.
strangling Ms. Melton. We're asking that you find him guilty of grand theft of a motor vehicle for stealing and taking Ms. Melton's car. I'm asking that you find him guilty of battery for striking Ms. Montanez against her will. I'm asking that you find him guilty of killing and strangling Ms. Diane Ruiz and basically committing blunt force trauma by running her over and
He
trying to
looks
make her
ill,
look like
yeah.
spaghetti.
He just looks.
I'm asking that you find him guilty of burglary of a dwelling for going to and breaking into the Amlin's residence, and also for petty theft for taking and helping himself to whatever it was inside that allowed him to do the things that he did.
What a complete weirdo
Thank you very
psycho.
much
Okay,
for your
Wolfie,
time.
be careful. What are they even going to say in response to this? What can they even say? What can they even say? Here we go, because we're about to find out.
Yes, sir.
Now we're at the defense. Okay. Then we have a state rebuttal, and then
First, on behalf of myself, Mr. Shirley,
oh geez,
and even Mr. Wilson, I want to thank you for the attention you've given through these proceedings. I know there's been some
here we go.
portions that have been rather rough. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh God, I'm gonna shut up and mute myself.
I want to get up here and I want to argue about premeditation. I mean, not arguing whether these ladies are dead. We're not arguing, but the premeditation. First off, let's go through the timeline. He and Jason Shepard meet Miss Melton and Amy Slobodian, I think her name was, at the Buddha. He goes home, leaves Melissa Montanez, his girlfriend, there, takes her car, and apparently Jason drove them back to Miss Melton's house. They have sex. They have consensual sex. Jason Shepard said so. And then something happened. I suspect it was the drugs. Shepard was saying, oh yeah, we were doing cocaine, just not my cocaine. That was for me. Well, if you listen to the statement that was played yesterday, Mr. Wilson talks about using flocka.
He guessed, dude. Oh my God, he's already driving me nuts with this. Number one, who cares if they had consensual sex? Number two, who cares if it was Wade's freaking cocaine or Jason's cocaine? And also, who cares what he mumbled, jumbled, rambled in that freaking interview? It doesn't prove anything.
That is not good stuff.
Well, he doesn't really have a defense, though.
Puts
So
holes in your brain.
Objection, facts not in evidence.
what?
Sustained.
That is not good. It puts holes in your brain. Oh my God.
If
Is there
you
proof that
listen
he was
to
on Flocka, bro?
the statement
No.
that was played yesterday,
Just contain
Mr.
myself.
Wilson talks about using flocka. That is not good stuff. Puts holes in your brain.
Objection, facts not in evidence.
Sustained.
Oh my God. I just cannot
Anyway.
believe he tried to pull. Anyway.
At some point between 2 and 4, maybe, Miss Slobodian leaves and something goes wrong. Miss Montanez described it. Killer eyes, 2 black holes, no soul, as she put it. Kills Miss Melton, wraps her up. Why? Rather than premeditation, I would submit to you that the judge is going to give you an instruction on second-degree murder. And one of the, or also known as depraved mind murder. I don't think anyone can argue that none of this was not depraved. But in order to commit second-degree murder, there must be an unlawful killing by an act imminently dangerous to another, no one's arguing that, demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life. An act includes a series of related actions arising from and performed pursuant to a single design or purpose. An act is, quote, imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind, end quote, if it is an act or a series of acts that.
S. Ford, somebody said the other day he looked like he fell asleep on a newspaper. But my boys said, they have to defend him, I guess. So they have to put on some sort of defense. I agree. They don't get to choose their clients when they are public defenders. So you got to remember that, but it's just hard not to get really annoyed with someone taking up for something that's just, there's no way to take up for it. You know what I mean? And that's how it feels. Not that he's taking up for that, but you know what I mean? That is the way that it feels in the moment. And it's like, I'm much more harsh on the defense attorneys always watching trials than the prosecution. And it's just a bias, I guess. It's hard.
A person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or do serious bodily injury to another. No question about that. Is done from ill will, hatred, spite, or an evil intent, and is of such a nature that the act in itself indicates an indifference to human life. Whatever he was doing, nobody's arguing was not depraved. Look at the timeline. Miss Melton was
Ooh, hold on a minute.
sometime between.
That is that what he just did. It's familiar. It's like he did this long blink. And I hear you guys. Let me see.
Look at the timeline.
Watch. He's definitely using. I'm sorry. I remember. I have a lot of experience around people using, and I remember that all too well. That slow blink and like the itch with it too. Like in my opinion, I would say without a doubt, I would probably bet a whole lot on it that he was under the influence at this time. One more time. Watch.
Look at the timeline. Miss Melton was murdered sometime between.
And his eyes are red and somewhat yellow, honestly. Let me hear from you guys for a second. Hey, JD, I'm glad you're here. Hope you have a good day, too. I am, too, except for the Karen Reed trial. Yeah, me too, Samantha. Those defense attorneys were pretty darn good, though. And, yeah, I was the same way. That's funny. Kelly said, to be honest, if I was facing the death penalty and today was the day I found out, I'd be high too. And I would say without a doubt, he's on some kind of opiate, maybe some kind of like benzo or something too. But like the itch and the slow blink, I'm familiar with seeing that with like opiates, pain pills, heroin, those kinds of things. Maybe even Suboxone if you have no tolerance and you're not addicted to anything and you take it, it could also give you those same sort of effects.
2 and 4, maybe.
Venomous.
When Miss Slobodian left, she had to go to work. Then there's the incident about 7:30, 8 o'clock with Miss Montanez. According to her fiance, Miss Ruiz, was going to work sometime between 9 and 11. She left the house. So the contact between Mr. Wilson and Miss Ruiz is on a road in broad daylight. This isn't some kidnapping in the middle of the night. This is in broad daylight. Again, it's almost a carbon copy of Miss Melton. Again, running over the body 10 to 20 times. Nobody's saying that's not depraved. We're not arguing, didn't do it. There's solid evidence that he is responsible for those 2 deaths and the battery of Miss Montanez.
Wow.
Miss Montanez's testimony.
Okay.
You need to think about that, whether this was premeditated in term. I mean, Miss Milton had sex with him. He could have just gotten up and left. Or stayed.
So what? You know what? It's starting to feel like victim blaming in a way. I'm sick of it. Stop bringing that up. We know. Okay, but if she knew what a monster he was, she probably wouldn't have.
Instead, he murders her.
Sorry.
That's not
hearing that.
Clear thinking, shall we say. I'm not arguing insanity. I'm not arguing. I'm just.
You want to bring up that they slept together. How about bring up all the other things that he did to her? Huh? You want to, I mean, seriously.
Arguing that the state's claiming premeditation.
Obviously, he's not going to, but.
He's whacked out. He's just out of his mind for any of this.
Wow.
The only other point I'd like to make is the burglary. Okay. Burglary of the Amlin house. The second element. At the time of entering, not after you're inside, at the time of entering the structure, Wade Wilson had the intent to commit theft in that structure. No, he was hiding from the police. Remember, this was after the incident with Officer McCormick. He helped himself to the food. I'm not claiming he didn't commit petty theft, but the reason he went into the house is because he was hiding out from the cops. So I don't believe you had a felony. You had a burglary. The judge is going to advise you about a lesser charge of trespass. Again, I respectfully request that you consider.
Okay, so just a second. Tess was asking about lithium. So I only have experience with one person in my life who has been on that, and it kind of made her like a shell of herself, very zombified. So it's interesting if he was actually on that and taking them, that he was still having like the same kind of conversations, phone calls, and all the interactions with the women. Because the person in my life that was on it, I mean, she could have still communicated, but just not in her normal way at all. She spoke differently, robotically. It was just so noticeable that so it was almost like a robot or a Stepford wife or some kind of, I don't know. But we just have to think about this. Melissa has done those FOIA requests, and she has found that he's been busted with fentanyl, Xanax, meth, and other things too. So if he's been busted with that, think of how many times he wasn't busted. He also overdosed at one point, right? In jail. So I don't think it would be like beyond the realm of possibilities to think that it could be both lithium and some sort of drugs. Could he have been given lithium and not taken it? I would like to really listen closely to the calls or the emails around this time, because yeah, like I said, if his like, and maybe someone that's in healthcare, like Nurse Kristen, can tell us more, but wouldn't you think that his like speech patterns and things would change a little bit if he was on that versus when he's off of it? I don't know, but yeah. Okay.
Whether this was premeditated or depraved mind murder. Now, based on the rules of procedure, I don't get a chance to come back up here. The state does. So I need you to consider what they're going to argue to you in their closing argument, because I don't get a chance to rebut it. I thank you for the attention you've given, and appreciate your assistance in this case. Thank you.
May it please the court,
Yes, ma'am.
counsel,
And here we go. The redirect.
ladies and gentlemen of the jury. This was premeditation all day long. The defendant's attitude toward these women was despicable. He bragged about their deaths to his dad after he killed them. No regret, no remorse. And he replaced the name Christine's mother gave her at birth with the name bitch. I killed a bitch. I choked that bitch out. And 3 days later, he's still bragging about
No.
it to law enforcement. And his biggest concern, whether he could get a hamburger and french fries. As Diane Ruiz laid in that field, being scavenged by animals with bugs eating her face to the point where she's unrecognizable, this guy over here wants some french fries. And he's bragging about the fact that Diane Ruiz looks like spaghetti. This is a man with no respect for women, with no respect for human life. When asked about Mila and killing her, he says, there were too many people around. I probably would kill her, you know. You know what I mean, given the chance. Now, I want to start with premeditation, because what you're going to see is you're going to see a jury instruction about lesser included offenses. And second degree murder is a lesser included offense of first degree premeditated murder. And there's no doubt that if you read the second degree murder instruction, you're going to see that it involves ill will, hatred, spite. So there's not a premeditation element, but there's ill will, hatred, and spite. There's no question that he is full of ill will, hatred, and spite. But the law requires you to find for the highest charge. It says when considering the evidence, you should consider the possibility.
Think about that, Wade.
Although the evidence may not convince you that the defendant committed the main crime of which he is accused, there may be evidence that he committed other acts that will constitute a lesser included crime. Therefore, if you decide the main accusation has not been proved beyond a reasonable doubt, you will next need to decide if the defendant is guilty of any lesser included crime. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't even need to go to second degree murder. You don't even need to consider lesser included crimes in this case, because the state has met its burden and proven premeditated murder. And I want to start with the defendant's own words about premeditation and how we know that he took a second to think about what he did before he did it. All right, the truth is, I picked the girl up and killed her. I wasn't worried about the school, you know. Remember, this is during the day. School is in session, and it's an elementary school. Little kids being dropped off by moms and dads and buses. I wasn't worried about school, you know. I choked her out until she couldn't breathe anymore. She wasn't fully dead yet. Now, he's choking her. He could have stopped, but he decided to continue so that he could kill her. She wasn't fully dead yet, and she was still alive, and I pushed her out of the car, and she tried to get up, and I ran her over with the car. And I ran over maybe like 10 times, 20 times, her head, her body. He says, I put the window down, and I said, hey, do you know where the high school is, where the school's at? Could you show me? She said, it's right down there. I said, I drove by there, and I didn't see it. Could you please show me? She got in the car. That's all it took. That's all it took. Got her in my car, and then from there, we drove to the school, and I was going to drop her off. But I knew in my mind, I wasn't going to drop her off. There's the mind. I knew in my mind I wasn't going to drop her off, but she wanted to get dropped off there. I said, okay, you can go. As soon as she went to get out, whatever, I grabbed her by the neck and choked her. That's when I was choking her right there. I was choking her out right there. She came back to life 3 or 4 times. I mean, she was a fighter for sure. I'll give her that. When I pushed her out, she fell out still alive, trying to get up.
This woman is very good. I really like her. I hate to pause it. I have to pause for fair use. But also, look at his face while he is getting just completely owned by her, just putting him on blast. I love it. I love to see that. And there was something else I was going to add, but let me think. I think I lost it. 1 second.
I backed up and just ran and hit her until she was not moving anymore. That's not premeditated murder, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what is. And after Christine Melton, when he picked up Diane Ruiz, he told the detectives, I was like, you know what? I've already done it once. I'm going to do it again. It came across my mind to murder, just kill, kill, kill. He talks about I could get sex with her and then I was going to kill her. This is going to sound weird. I'm just really horny. So I was looking for an easy piece of pussy and saw her walking and she was strolling or whatever early in the morning. So I was like, whatever, I'll give it a shot. When I give it a shot, it usually is 9 times out of 10 works for me. And it did, you know. Fuck it, I should kill her. He says, she did not need a ride afterwards,
yes.
Which is why
I know what I was going to say, and it's important. So let me rewind. Look at his face. Oh my God. And then also this girl in the black and white, like how do you hear this and continue to support him? But I want you guys to remember something as we're listening to the prosecutor and it pans to Wade. He is aware that the camera turns to him. He can hear it, see it, everything. He's also aware when it zooms on him. So just remember that, because there are times when, you know, I think he plays into that. But right now, he just seems like a hurt puppy or something, like with his body language. But yeah, so just know that he knows.
I could get sex with her and then I was going to kill her. This is going to sound weird. I'm just really horny. So I was looking for an easy piece of pussy and saw her walking and she was strolling or whatever early in the morning. So I was like, whatever, I'll give it a shot. When I give it a shot, it usually is 9 times out of 10 works for me. And it did, you know. Fuck it, I should kill her. He says, she did not need a ride afterwards, which is why I started choking her, because she was going to get out of the car. She said, drop me off here at school. I could tell she was getting scared. I saw the fear, and I think the fear triggered me to just kill her. It was going in a weird direction. I could tell things were off because she wanted to be pulled over, and she really wanted to get out of the car bad at this point. And I could tell she was I can sense you, fear. I'm like a fucking lion, and you're the prey, and I can sense it. They can't get away from me even if they wanted to. I'm too strong. I mean, I don't look strong maybe necessarily, but I can, believe it or not. I'm not trying to be mean. I can take either one of you guys down. And this is what he's telling detectives. He's locked up in the Lee County Jail, confessing and bragging to the detectives about these murders that he committed. Not only do you have his own words, all the evidence shows premeditation. Remember when he told his father about murdering Christine, he says, she's just sleeping there. They had sex. Remember, this is 6 a.m. Stephanie Johnson has already left. He sees her asleep after a night of going out, having a good time. And he says, I decided I was going to kill her, and I got on top of her. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is classic premeditation. And there doesn't need to be any length of time. It can be just a short swapping at a mosquito. Defense also alluded that, there's drugs and alcohol and he's on these drugs. That's what he says. But nowhere in the packet of jury instructions are you going to hear or are you going to read when you take those jury instructions back with you that drugs or alcohol is a defense to murder or a defense to premeditation. Stephanie Johnson went out drinking the night of October 6th. She went to work the next day. Jason Shepard went out drinking that night and he did a line or two of cocaine and he went to work the next day. And Wade Wilson went out drinking. He did a line or two of cocaine and he killed 2, almost 3 women the next day.
So you guys that are coming in, this is just what we are watching, the closing arguments, because we've been catching up with the trial. We are about to watch a new interview. Well, not new. It's from October, so it's not new. But a more recent interview with Erik from the Deadliest Catch, who used to work with Wade, who Wade referenced in his police interview yesterday, which is why we're listening to it. to hear more about him. So if you want to see that, stick around. We're just about done with this, but we are watching the closing arguments. And people asking about if he's on medication, we don't know. Apparently he said he was given lithium at this time, and we do know he's been busted more than once with drugs in jail. So
drugs or alcohol as an excuse for injury or death to anyone is insulting. And you'll find nowhere that the law allows that as an excuse. Think about how he was acting. He's at Mateo's Graphics. Why is he there? He's not just out of his mind talking nonsense. Now, our witness, Mr. Lukic, thought he was out of his mind because he's saying he killed 2 women. That seems pretty crazy. He doesn't think that that's probably true. He did, in fact, know it was true. But he's there to get out of town. He's there for a plane ticket or a bus ticket. This is someone who knows exactly what he did. He's not on some kind of drug where he doesn't know, or he doesn't know what's happening or what's going on. He knows exactly what's going on. And he knows he needs to get the hell out of Dodge. And long after the high of any drugs or alcohol could have worn off, he's calling Daddy. Dad, I need you again. I need money. I need to get out of here. I need you to come pick me up. I need you to help me. And he's bragging to his dad, wanting his dad to be proud of the women he killed. And then 3 days later, when he's in custody and he's on no drugs and no alcohol, what does he do again? He's bragging to the detectives. All those quotes I just read you, those were all 3 days later when he has no access to any of that. Defense tries to say, he's crazy, he's out of his mind. And the defense, talked about mental health and that being an issue. Again, that's not a defense in this case. There's no evidence of any mental health disorder. There's no.
She is just killing. She's doing a really great job. Yeah, that was probably not an appropriate way to say that. But yeah. Harlot, good to see you. And Harlot, I agree. She says, I believe he's just a scumbag. Let me find your exact comment so I don't quote you wrong. Oh, it's on the screen. I don't think he had any crazy flock of bath salt types of drugs. I think he's just a scumbag who felt like murdering women for fun. And it's interesting that none of his mental health stuff really has came up, because I know, I haven't watched ahead, but I know from just looking in the penalty phase, there are several doctors testifying, showing images of his brain and things like that. So that will be really interesting to see when we get to that.
No jury instruction that's going to excuse him. Any reference of it by the defendant in a statement is simply an excuse to try to justify what he did. He had no issues going out and having a good time at the Buddha that night. No issues picking up a beautiful young woman at the bar. No issues having sex multiple times. No issues getting exactly what he wanted. He wasn't hallucinating. He wasn't hearing voices. He wasn't confused about where he was. He wasn't confused about anything that night. In his own words to law enforcement, he was a fucking lion and they were the prey. And he could sense it.
In his own words.
He
And we heard that
knowing
yesterday.
that they were in fear. He liked knowing that they wanted to get away, and he was not about to let them. And he knew enough that night to give a different name. He was JR, or Junior. He wasn't Wade Wilson, the killer. And he knew after killing someone, he should get rid of the body. He knew that after killing someone, he needed to get out of town. And as he watched the officers search for him, he sat in the Amlin's house, drinking White Claw, eating food,
Using popcorn.
using his dad to help him escape. As humans, there's a desire to make sense of it all, to watch the news and come to some understanding of why, to have answers to suffering, and to look for some explanation, to look for a motive to explain why people do what they do. But that's why the state doesn't have to prove a motive. If you had to sit and find a motive or an explanation or an excuse for Wade Wilson's behavior, you'd be in the jury room for years, because there's no explanation, no justification, and no motivation that could ever explain the suffering and death inflicted on Christine Melton. The suffering he caused to her best friend, Stephanie Johnson. The suffering he caused to Christine's cousin, Samantha. Or the suffering he caused to all her family and friends. There's no explanation and no justification and no motivation that could ever explain the suffering he caused to Diane Ruiz. The suffering he caused to her fiance, Scott. The suffering he caused to her son, Brandon. The suffering he caused to the rest of Diane Ruiz's family and friends. And there's no justification for the fear and the pain and the injuries he inflicted on Mila Montanez. And any explanation he may have given to law enforcement creates no justification. This defendant is guilty as charged, and we ask that you convict him of all of the crimes the state has alleged. Thank you.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little after 10.
Now that's the end of that. So now, just quickly, we're going to watch this. This is when he's found guilty.
In the Circuit Court of the 20th Judicial Circuit and in Fort Lee County, Florida, criminal action. State of Florida versus Wade Wilson. Case number 19 CF 0568. Verdict. We, the jury, finds as follow as to the defendant in this case. Count 1, first-degree murder, Christine Melton. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Count 2, grand theft motor vehicle. The defendant is guilty of grand theft motor vehicle. Count 3, battery. The defendant is guilty of battery. Count 4, first-degree murder, Diane Ruiz. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Count 5.
And there you have it, you guys. Okay, just 1 second. I have to timestamp this. 1:13:45. Just for people watching after. I'm so sorry. Okay, now I want to go back to that for just a quick second, because it showed the courtroom. And then we're going to watch what I told you we were going to watch. And Candace sent something with the jury member. It's a quick video, so we might actually watch that as well if we have time tonight. I really want to watch that with you. If not, we will start with that tomorrow. So it's like a jury member showing inside the jury room and stuff like that. I think it'll be interesting. But, okay, here we are. Let's go here and look at the courtroom.
Melton. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder.
Now, I don't want to look at the victim side at all. I'm trying to look just to see what we can see on the other side. Oh, isn't that Alexis over here with the red hair? Right here where my arrow is? Boom. I'm certain of it from watching MJ last night. And then that's really, I don't see anybody else. I mean, I see people over there, but I don't recognize them. Maybe you guys do. Yep, that's her. Interesting. Jury member being interviewed. I haven't watched it yet. I was saving it for all of us to watch together. Thank you, Candace. I'm excited. Yay. Thank you for sending that. Okay, so we're actually, let's just go over to there and then we'll watch as much of Erik as we can until I have to let you guys go. Since this is shorter, we'll start with this, especially because Candace didn't watch even before sending it to us. So it's juror from Wade Wilson trial shares look inside the jury room.
Wade began to slip away from us, becoming withdrawn, erratic, and depressed at first.
Breaking news, a lawyer is trying to spare a man from the death sentence hours before a judge decides Wade Wilson's fate.
A jury recommended Wilson be sentenced to death for killing Christine Melton and also Diane.
I will have this linked in the description as soon as the live's over when I go back for the timestamps, just so you guys know. There will be timestamps for everything we've watched and listened to today, and
live in the courthouse. Now, Sam, you've been there since day one. So what exactly happened this morning?
Right. So we spent a lot of this morning focusing on those brain scans that were done and whether or not Wade Wilson has any brain damage. One expert witness said one thing, one expert said another. But more interesting than that this morning was a letter read to the court from the defense attorney who was actually written from Wade Wilson's adoptive parents. Now, I'll go more in depth on that for you later this afternoon. But first, we're
going to hear that when we watch this sentencing. So
introduce you to a juror who I spoke with just last night.
So I went in just expecting it to be kind of like mundane, maybe civil, whatever.
The woman sitting in front of me served on Wade Wilson's jury this summer. She didn't want to be identified, concerned for her family's safety. So we'll call her by another name, Juror 87.
My first thought, honestly, was how big he was. I was like, oh, that's a big dude. As far as the tattoos and stuff went, it didn't really matter. It was just another tattooed big guy.
The evidence, gruesome.
You don't unsee.
Oh, we didn't see this. They
big dude. As far as the tattoos and stuff went, it didn't really matter. It was just another tattooed big guy.
The evidence.
We got to see some of it, but there shows some of the blood. Oh my God.
Evidence, gruesome.
You don't unsee stuff like that.
The testimony, heartbreaking.
Diane Ruiz's fiance, when he spoke about giving her that last kiss goodbye, and she thought that he hadn't. I mean, it just like takes everything in you not to try and, hold back those tears. Like, it's such a human experience. It's something you do every day with your partner or your spouse.
Wade Wilson, now convicted of strangling Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz to death in Cape Coral. This juror says the guilty verdict, easy. Recommendation for sentencing, not so much.
We all got back in there and it was just quiet. It was just very, very quiet.
She voted in favor of the death penalty for both murders. She explains why one less person voted for lethal injection in Christine's case.
The prosecution was trying to say that he went out with that intent purposely to find a victim that night and kill her. Some of the jurors did not feel that way. They felt that this just happened to be the person that he met and it happened. He could have stopped, but he didn't and chose. So it's first degree, but not with that forethought and malice in there.
Which must be required for the death penalty.
Whereas Diane, he went out and he found her and he chose her and he picked her and he killed her. So that is how we ended up with the extra on her versus Christine.
She won't come to see Wilson's sentence today. She's done with the violence and the antics, especially with the now fanfare surrounding the 30-year-old convict. Juror 87 wants everyone to focus on these two women.
I just hope that once everything is, said and done, people will remember their families. And
Okay, let me link this in the chat. That is so sad. Here, I'll play it. Well, we'll play the very last bit.
They're, the victims and not Wade Wilson.
And the morning arguments just wrapped up. So now we're about 2 hours from.
Okay, so we're done with that. So let's go over here. We have to go. Erik of Deadliest Catch tells stories about Wade Wilson on a TikTok live. This happened October the 9th. So, wow, 2 days after what would have been the 5-year anniversary of this terrible crime, these terrible crimes.
Here. Can you tell a story or something? Come on, get this ready. Thank you. Now, where's Erik? Where'd you go? Man, can you tell a story or something real quick? I got to get that ready for you. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Erik James Brown, going to tell you a wonderful story. You want the chair?
Here we go.
Hold down. All right, cheers over here.
What's up, guys? Because Tommy left me on the phone here. He's telling me to talk about Wade. I don't know, man. Wade's he was a little punk. I like him at first. I think he has like a good first impression, but he was hired by a lady that came with the hotel that I bought down there, and I liked him all through it. But he just Like the third day he's working for me, third day he's working for me. I had like this a Hummer at the time that was like a work truck more or less. And so I asked Wade if he'd run down to, or I asked one of my guys if he'd run down to KFC. So I had Wade, he volunteered, he went down and he gets himself arrested. So I bonded him out or whatever. I felt bad because the guy's going and running an errand for me and gets himself caught driving or suspended or whatever. So I went ahead and paid for his bail and he gets back out. And then he wasn't doing any crazy work for me. He was doing like a roof or whatever. And so he's putting like whatever, painting this roof material on. And I did have him stay on the big boat or whatever. I'd gotten that. I guess it was like a week or two later. But anyway, so he had court in a few days. You know, the guy's only worked for me for two days and gets arrested. Then he works for me another day. He tells me how he has court like that upcoming Monday. So, I mean, I feel for that situation, man. I've gotten in plenty of trouble. So I gave him a collared shirt.
Wow. So he's helped him get out, gave him clothes for court, everything.
Pants, earrings, got a licensed driver that was to drive him, paid that guy, lined them all up, go to court on Monday. And him and that guy leave Sunday night and he gets himself arrested again for driving. And all he had to do was just let the fucking guy that I paid drive him or whatever. So I'm like, all right, he's a dumbass. Like he fucking, I don't know. I guess I could see myself do something like that years ago, but he, I wasn't going to bond him out that time. When he called me, it was 30,000 was his bond. I wasn't going to just throw 3 G's for nothing. So I don't bond him out at first. I sent him some canteen and was like, you know, hey man, you just call me when you get out or something, whatever. But I never hung out with the dude. I knew him from work. He worked for me there, but there was nothing really.
He just tried to help him basically. And of course he's going to fucking take advantage of that. Excuse my language. Cause somebody like Wade, like, you can't just help them once or twice. Then they have to, you know, suck you dry. Because
like personal about it like that. And then I got a call like a week or two later and the bondsman was like, hey, you want to bail Wade Wilson out or whatever? And I'll do it for half the price.
Tess says Erik is currently incarcerated in Lee County. That's interesting.
So he wanted like $1,500 and I had it on me that day. So I was like, yeah. So I did it. And when he got out, I just pulled him aside and said, look, Wade, you got to work the next 40 days on my big boat. And you just got to look at it like it's better than jail. And basically you're just going to work solid every day, the next 40 days.
Wow.
Until I'm paid back my $1,500 that I just paid, as well as the $500 from before or whatever. And, you know, it was like $2,000. And then I'm getting decent labor out of it, 40 days of labor for $2,000, whatever. It was worth it for me at the time. I had a lot of stuff going on. So,
yeah,
he only made it like 10 days or so. And
think about it.
He's just
$2,000 for 40 days. So 10 days would be $500. Surely you're going to work over, you know, nonstop those 10 days. That is really pretty cheap labor.
Fucking off, man. He had that guy down there. You know, I told him if he's in that parking lot cleaning up or doing something that he's representing me, because people would come into my store and be like, hey, we saw you out front, you know, weed whacking or whatever that's going on. And I had him doing. And, you know, I'd be like, I wasn't out front. And then I'd realize, like, oh, fuck it. And they saw Wade out front. So I told him, man, if you're out front doing anything stupid, you know, if you litter or pick your nose, whatever it is, man, that people are going to think that I'm littering or I'm picking my nose. So I'm like, you really got to like just stay.
Samantha, thank you for gifting a membership. That's really sweet. Thank you. And welcome to whoever got that.
Tight. Because I know they're out in that parking lot fucking kissing. And I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, and they saw Wade out front. So I told them, man, if you're out front doing anything stupid, you know, if you litter or pick your nose, whatever it is, man, that people are going to think that I'm littering or I'm picking my nose. So I'm like, you really got to like just stay tight. Because I know they're out in that parking lot fucking kissing. And I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, I can't have that in front of my place. I mean, he can do whatever he wants, but not when people think I'm him or whatever. And so I snapped on him, man, when I seen him. And again, it's your own life choice, what you want to do behind closed doors or whatever. But
Adrian, you didn't have to do that. Thank you. Adrian, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Adrian. Welcome, you guys. I still believe there were some illegal activities happening in that group. However, they do not make Wade innocent, in my opinion, obviously. Right. Who was he kissing, though? Like, how did that go beyond?
I didn't need a guy that, you know, resembled me in front of my place playing grab ass with another guy. Like, it just wasn't a good look. So I kind of snap on him and man, he was weird about it. He like cowered Wade. Like he's just like, when it comes to Wade and dudes, he just like, he'll cower right on him, man. When I seen him, and again, it's your own life choice, what you want to do behind closed doors or whatever. But I didn't need a guy that, resembled me in front of my place playing grab ass with another guy. Like it just wasn't a good look.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I kind of snap on him, and man, he was weird about it. He like cowered Wade. Like he's just like, when it comes to Wade and dudes, he just like, he'll cower right down. He's not. He doesn't stand up for himself in that way. Like he just different. So
Hey, turn that off.
you can tell that he had like a trouble prison or something. But
Okay, I cannot do that. We gotta wait a second.
worked I don't know, like another,
Turn that off, dude.
and
Really?
everybody that I've ever dealt with that met him, man, they liked him off rip. And then once you got to know him, you kind of saw through what was going on. There's a little more to it, but I could definitely see how initially people could take a liking to him or whatever. And I don't know, wasn't the best worker. I'll tell you that much.
Like they're probably asking questions. You can see.
What's that?
Obviously, there's questions that they talk.
Sadly, the whole lot of it is.
Yeah, I know.
But we're just watching
This
a
is
little bit
Eric.
of
It's
it.
not Tommy. I gotta. How many people do you have that go on your live? They follow you and just talk to them?
I don't know.
No shit.
I gotta feed a cheater real quick.
He's got it.
It is so interesting. He cowers around men.
Oh, no shit. See, I don't really keep up with all my social stuff. I guess I should a little bit more, man. I kind of wanted to keep my name out of all this stuff, so I just really laid low when it came down to any of it. It's just my family. My family's real like influential around here, and I know that they haven't been real stoked on a lot of the stuff that's come with the Wade Wilson case. I mean, I personally don't really give a fuck about like trying to keep my name clean because it ain't clean, but
Because it's not clean, you don't say.
yeah, I mean, Wade does keep bringing it up or whatever. I mean, I would love to say, yeah, this is.
Melissa, this has been a journey. We've watched the closing arguments. We watched him be found guilty. We saw Alexis in there and Gabby, I believe. Tess said it was Gabby. And then we heard from a juror for a second. And then now we're hearing from Erik, who's telling, about when he bonded Wade out of jail and then bonded him out again. And then Wade didn't keep his word, and Wade making out with boys in front of his shop. And he didn't like that and that kind of thing. So it's been a damn journey.
Some organization. I'm like the most unorganized motherfucker in the world. It wasn't a organization by any means. I do some shit that I guess it's like big to other people, but it's just normal for me. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm a criminal. I've always had guns or drugs or shit around my whole life. I don't do anything bad. I don't litter. I mean, I get high, and it's always good to have protection around or whatever. But Wade, people bullshit when they go to.
He gets high, you don't say.
Yeah, they talk to their bunkie and they kind of exaggerate stories and do whatever. And I would say it's a little more in that direction.
Yeah, Melissa.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sick of here. I don't know if I'm sick of hearing about it. When I look it up, I look it up to see and make sure, because bringing my family into it sucked. That was really the only part. It was like bringing my mom, because she's like the sweetest lady in the world, and that part of it was no good, man. You can't talk about moms, but it's what it is. I haven't spoken to I don't know. I haven't spoken to Wade at all. And
Tell me that you didn't buy him a watch.
Yeah, I didn't buy him anything. I didn't buy him a watch. I don't know. It sucks because I don't want to like kill anybody's like spirits with what's going. But really, when it comes down to it, Wade was. I mean, my real opinion on it. I mean, he was a little punk, and I slapped the dog shit out of Wade when we got into an argument. He cowered down like a little baby, man. Just like he definitely had been through some shit when he was in prison and younger. And then he is gay, but he like was mad about it. You could tell, like, because he wanted that dude to hide it. And then, like when I brought it up to him, he just like got real fucking crazy about it. And I think that he's mentioning me on all his calls or bringing my family into it or doing any of this shit because it's getting him attention, man. That was, I mean, really, when Wade went with my ex, Sarah.
Wait, so you guys have to fill me in. First of all, Sarah. Is that the same Sarah that you guys have mentioned? His ex? And then second of all, does he mention Erik on these calls? We know he mentioned him in the police interview, but
Like when I met Sarah, she would like cower when I went to. She would startle awake. Like the girl had been through a lot of trauma, man, and he definitely was like fucked up to her. And then when I met Sarah, she's just so fucking gorgeous.
Okay.
I'd give that girl anything. So from the day I met her, I just moved her right in and she bought her all new clothes and got her a boob job and a corgi and a monkey and a Mercedes and anything I could fucking do for that girl, man. I love the fuck out of her, and I still do, but. She was fucked up in the head, man. I was with her for like that year, and then she had like a freak out, and it was definitely related to Wade, like fucking her head up, and like what she yelled about, like me, like choking her. Something I've never ever in my life put my hands on her. So it was definitely from like shit that Wade had done to her. But I spent a year in jail. She turned in a gun then, so I had the hotel for like a year and a half, and I had like $850,000 into it. I'd borrowed a decent amount from my family. And so I only had the first year and a half open. Then I had a year of COVID. And then we just reopened like the busiest season possible. But I got put in jail. And so I stayed in the motherfucker. I could have gotten out in 2 months, but I stayed in for another 10 months voluntarily because I wanted to prove in fucking trial that I didn't do it. But there was no trials because of COVID. After a year of sitting there and being able to leave after the month too. So sitting there for 10 months voluntarily, I was like, fuck it. I called my lawyer and took the deal. So I made my record look a little fucked up because I've never had any kind of like domestic or any kind of thing before, but it's what it is. And then they always
Hope. That's probably a lie, but still not a murderer. We're only gonna watch for another minute or two. Then I'll drop the link for you guys. So if you want to finish, you can. It's because I have that premiere tonight, so I need to do some stuff here while I can before it gets too late. Natri says his sexuality is inconsequential. Born to 13 and 14-year-old kids. His bio mother is an addict. He was a demon. Nature over nurture. Erik's family is wealthy. They were in Greatest Catch. Oh, I thought it was Deadliest Catch. Anybody that does have any information on this and you feel like it and you can like easily email it to me, I would love that so much if you don't mind. If you don't, I'll also go do digging some myself, but it's on the screen, my email. Okay. Hey, Bogart.
They always fucking what the fuck am I saying here? They always exaggerate anything that I have going on just because of my stuff with Deadliest Catch. So they really blew it up, like in the news or the media or whatever. And then I was away for Sarah for 3 years, and then about a year ago, we got back together or whatever. It just took me a little while to get over somebody getting you in trouble for something you didn't do, man. But she was like 20 at the time. And not trying to make excuses, but I guess time healed that one. And we're good. We're engaged. Yeah, I mean, I just hadn't talked to anybody. Jumpsuit Pablo was reaching out to me. Somebody just said, but I don't know. I was just trying to keep my name out of all this shit, really. But
So why'd you do the interview? Okay, you guys, I think I've had about enough of this. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. I'll have timestamps in the description after we end. Now we have to go into the penalty phase, which, if I'm looking at the playlist now, the next thing is opening statements of the penalty phase. Then we have Christine's best friend on the stand for 20 minutes. So an hour of opening statements, 20 minutes of her on the stand. And then we get into neuropsychologist for almost 2 hours, forensic psychologist for almost 2 hours, the state's rebuttal doctor for 2 hours, and then the closing arguments. So we have still quite a lot to get through. But yeah, so like I said, at the end of this, give it about 10 minutes. I'll have all the timestamps. I've already linked a few things in the description before we got started. And yeah, thank you guys for being here and going through this with me. I appreciate it so much. It has been a journey for real and very interesting. And then like I had mentioned, I know tonight Melissa is live in just a little bit. So I'm going to drop her link. And then late tonight, like almost midnight, I'll be releasing, it'll look like a live stream, but it's a premiere and it's an interview. So if you're free and you're up and you have nothing going on, come hang out with us in the chat. It's a really good conversation. It has to do with many of the things going on right now and some of the true crime community missing cases, and also some closed case stuff too. It's just good conversation. So yeah. Also, I think Melissa is going to interview me soon in this creator series. So it'll be really a lot of fun. So anyways, you guys, like I said, thank you again for being here. I appreciate it so much. I'm going to end it now and go do the description and go do dinner and showers and all the stuff here. And I'll be in Melissa's as I'm doing that. So I will probably see some of you over there. And yeah, thank you guys. I hope you have a lovely night. Thank you for spending your afternoon with me. And yeah, that'll be it. What makes no sense, Jenmar? I bet Wade started acting like this dude after he met him. Hell, he was probably pretending to be him by the sound of it. Yay, Lavender Sky. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see you there. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Thank you to the mods. Oh, you rock, Hope. Thanks for being here. And yeah, I'm going to drop Melissa's link again. And I'm also going to drop Jen's link. She's who I'm interviewing tonight. And then, yeah. Oh, Jen, I think or maybe you're not behind if you heard me respond. Eric's sitting in jail for a year when he could have got out in a couple months so he could prove innocence. Yeah, okay. I guess he was saying like I could have taken the plea and gotten out sooner, but I was trying to wait until trial. But because of COVID, it took so long to get to trial. That's the way I understood it. But I'm sure you're right. And it's probably BS. Thank you, my boys. And yeah, anybody in California, stay safe. Please evacuate. Please. I know it's hard to leave your property, but if you happen to be there and there are people in here from all over, you know, it's better to lose just your house than your life along with your house. So anyways, all right, you guys, I will see you later. Have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.